In this video, I'm talking about vehicles, specifically the 2021 Ford Bronco Sport Badlands trim. As you may or may not have been able to tell, I've got a new work vehicle. So why do I have a new vehicle? Well, there were some issues. So the search really came about when I had some issues with my truck, well, the work truck, the F-250. And what was happening was the alternator wasn't charging the batteries. The 4x4 front lockers were not auto-locking, so I'd have to get out and lock them. And I know it's not that big of a deal, but still. The truck was smoking occasionally, but it would never smoke when I took it to the mechanics. It was having random little issues here and there. It was starting to get really rough with acceleration and deceleration. And then really the big catalyst was I come out to my truck one morning and there's a puddle under the rear differential. So all the rear differential fluid leaked out. And then there was that looming issue of the computer cable of the truck. Now, a few years ago, I was driving it out to Barstow and I'm coming around this corner, it was kind of bumpy, and all of a sudden the truck started showing errors and alarms and limp home mode, and I have no idea what limp home mode is. Got it back, and what had happened was the cable that goes from all the sensors in the engine that connects to the computer had come loose, and it had basically shorted the computer out. Ultimately, what we discovered was that the retention clips for that computer cable were broken, and because they were broken, well, that cable is more likely to come out in the future. They zip tied it, but that's still another issue that we need to address sometime in the future. So all of these different things is why we had to look for a new vehicle. And as awesome and eye-catching as a 4x4 F-250 diesel is, it's a pain. It's a pain to drive, it's a pain to park, it's a pain to maneuver. All of those different things caused us to look for another solution, another vehicle. So this is, as I said earlier, the 2021 Ford Bronco Sport Badlands. There were some requirements that I had for my vehicle. So it had to have four-wheel drive. It had to have an enclosed cargo space because I was really, really tired of having all of my tools and all of my equipment get dusty and dirty, and having that tonneau cover on there sucked that dust and dirt in and trapped it. So everything got coated with a thick layer of dust and dirt inside the bed of the truck. Something that can get to all of our different sites 99% of the time. Yes, there are going to be those times when Palomar's snowed in and we won't be able to get any type of vehicle in there except for maybe the tracked Polaris that we have. But the rest of the year, this vehicle will get me up there. It had to have low mileage. We don't want to buy a car that already has like 250,000 miles on it already, because that just means that now we're inheriting somebody else's maintenance problems and vehicle problems, and that's kind of defeats the purpose of getting a new vehicle. Also, one of the things is we wanted to find something with the least amount of aftermarket updates and modifications to be able to go off-road. Literally, we could take this vehicle off the car lot and drive it up to a site. So it has Falcon Wild Peak all-terrain off-road tires. They're not as great as the BF Goodrich's, but hey, they're on there, and they've gotten me up to all the different sites that we need to so far. So let's talk about the specs of the Bronco Sport. It has a 2.0 liter EcoBoost engine. I think it's a three-cylinder engine, and this is for the Badlands edition. All the lower models have the 1.5 liter. This has the 2.0 liter, and it has the rear clutch differential, which the rear clutch differential is oil-cooled, and so that also helps. It has a little bit more horsepower and torque, and that is going to come into handy coming up to all these different sites, because you just want to have a little bit extra power because you might need it. It has intelligent four-wheel drive, which you could almost get it all the way up here, no problem, with just driving it straight without turning any of the GOAT modes on or four-wheel drive locks. And speaking of GOAT modes, the Badlands edition has what are called GOAT modes, go over any terrain. It has a sand, a mud ruts, a rock crawl, in addition to the other ones that it has of, eco, normal, sport, and slippery, I think is the last one. So let's talk about GOAT modes. Now the GOAT modes are go over any terrain. And, I have to say, I've played with them on this so far, and they're pretty impressive. Now, cars these days are basically computer driven. By that I mean there's a lot of computer control that goes into the throttle, the braking, the steering, the suspension, the this and that and that and this and that and that and all those different parts. While this is not fly-by-wire or drive-by-wire, if you will, the GOAT modes change the throttling, they change the braking, they change the steering. I was looking at Ford's literature about the GOAT modes, reading a little bit the descriptions, and it actually says that it modifies the sound of the engine, so it makes it sound a little bit more throaty or for a 3-cylinder engine. So the GOAT modes help you get over the terrain. So on this last section of Santiago Peak, it's really, really rocky. So throw it over into rock crawl mode. It makes the throttle less responsive. So it lets you ease up into some of these rocks and over some of these rocks. The sand mode puts you into four-wheel drive, but it keeps your momentum up. It tries to keep you at speed, because when you're in sand, you don't want to stop. If you stop, you're gonna get stuck. So again, it's helpful. You really could just drive it and flick on four-wheel drive and just go. But, using these other modes are helpful. They're nice, they're cool. The Badlands also has some nicer off-road suspension. The truck suspension was okay, but it was still truck suspension, which means it was very rigid. Because trucks are meant to carry stuff. And if I have 500 pounds of ballast in the back of the truck, it felt great. It was wonderful. But the off-road suspension on this makes this a lot smoother. It absorbs a little bit more of the shock from the road, and it makes it a little bit easier to drive. It has modern safety features, lane keep assist. So if you start drifting over into a lane and it detects that line, it'll notify you and it'll kind of even bump you over a little bit. It has pre-collision assist, which sometimes is nice and sometimes can be a pain, but it's a nice safety feature to have. It allows me to take calls on hands-free, because before in the truck, I didn't have hands-free. I would have to fish out my earbuds and, pop one in, and then answer the call. Not always very easy. Automatic high beams, so when you're driving at night and the lights are on, it'll turn on the high beams occasionally as needed. And then if it detects a car, it'll turn them off. It also has a rear camera. And right here, it has a front camera, which also gets turned on occasionally when you have some of the GOAT modes. So it lets you see, because you have this hood, you're not seeing this section in front of the car. And that camera really lets you see that little section there and helps you make better decisions, especially if you're off-roading, better decisions on what lines you're gonna take with your off-roading. So the first week that we had the Bronco, we took it to a couple of our sites, one of which was our site outside of Palomar. That was our first trip out, and it was easy. It was a propane delivery trip, and all we had to do was escort our propane guy up the road and back down. So as soon as it hit the dirt, it was a night and day difference as to how well this vehicle just handled being off-road. It was amazing. I will say, it was amazing. So there was that. It handled very well, and the truck was long, but the truck felt like a bull, just plowing up the road, you know, without a care in the world. But the Bronco Sport feels like a mountain goat, and just the way that it just climbed up that mountain road, it just felt sure-footed. It felt like I had traction. It felt right. It felt good. So that first trek was pretty impressive. That dirt road is really dirt, a lot of dirt, a lot of dirt, but a lot of loose dirt as well. We also had to go out to our site outside of Barstow, now our former site, and you'll see that, I think, next week. We had to go out there, and that road was partially soft dirt and sand, and then the last mile, 2 miles is bedrock, and you're basically bouncing on top of the rocks coming out of the ground. Was able to test out that sand mode, and was also able to test out that rock crawl mode. Worked like a champ. It was great. It was amazing. Here at Santiago Peak, I've been up here a few times now with the Bronco, and that last section coming up when you come off of Majeska and you're in this last half mile-ish, it's really, really rocky. Flip it into that rock crawl mode. Front camera turns on, so it lets you see the rocks that are in front of you, and it just smooths it out nice and even. And like I said, it's just an amazing drive off-road. I think we made a very good investment with this vehicle, and I have every intent to have this vehicle continue its service with us for 10 years. Why am I talking about it? Because it's one of my tools, and this is a very, very important tool in my toolbox of things that I use to get my job done, because I need to get to the sites, right? And this is how I get to the sites. And plus, you know, the driving montages are pretty cool, and they'll be just as cool now with this vehicle. If I were to give this a scale of 1 to 5, 5 being this is amazing, 1 being, oof, we made a mistake, I'd say it's a 5. I don't know exactly what I'm comparing it against, but it's a 5 in my book. I've named the Bronco. The F-250, it didn't have a name. It was the black truck. And you saw last week the white truck, what we call Bertha. All of our trucks have had names. We had Helga, which was an excursion. But the black truck, I just never, a name never caught on. But I've got one for the Bronco, and the name is Bullseye. I'll let you guess why. It has to do with another horse, kind of the same name. Comment down below if you know why, or can take a good guess as to why I called it Bullseye. Chad, no cheating. You know, don't cheat. Also, comment down below and let me know what your favorite car is, what your favorite vehicle is, was, and did it have a name? What was the name? Tell the story. It'd be kind of fun to read the comments on this. Thanks for watching today. I really appreciate it. You are an important part of this channel. And then when I talk about we and we this, yeah, it might be me, it might be Chad, it might be somebody else that's with me, but it's also you. So thank you for coming along. Thank you for watching. I appreciate it. I don't make any money off of this channel, at least not yet. Maybe in the future, but as of right now, I don't. I do this because I enjoy it, and I enjoy that you're here. I love being able to share information that I can, and I love being able to kind of peel back that curtain of what usually is hidden from view and explain a little bit more of what it really takes to do some of these things that you see, that you hear. And so, thanks for coming along. Anyways, if this is your first time here, thanks for visiting. There's plenty of other videos I have here. Some are exciting, some are informative, some are, yeah. Anyways, please watch some of them, comment on them. I really enjoy hearing from you guys. Tips, tricks, thoughts, suggestions. I don't mind. I don't know everything. I will be the first to admit. So thank you for those of you who have given me ideas and suggestions and tips. So anyways, watch some videos And until next time, it's really warm. I'm in short sleeves. I mean, my sleeves are rolled up. And so it's nighttime. I'm on top of a mountain. It's really warm out there. It hit 134 degrees in Death Valley a couple days ago. So anyways, until next time, stay cool.